So nuclear weapons are a terrible thing because they've given us the power to destroy ourselves. And I think the paradox is that I think there will be a moment probably when one day they're used, and then we will do untold damage to ourselves. It's hard to believe that somebody will never use them. However, I also agree with you. Had nuclear weapons not existed, I think there are a couple of moments when it's very easy to imagine a Third World War breaking out. So with my sort of historian's hat on, I would say possibly over Berlin in, so 1961, when the Berlin Wall goes up. There's such a mood of intense tension and confrontation at that moment. Obviously, the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, the installation of Soviet missiles in Cuba. We have the transcripts of the meetings in the White House, President Kennedy and his staff. We know how heavily the prospect of nuclear war weighed on them and how it deterred them from taking action they might otherwise have taken. Then again in the 1980s, and again, immense tension between Reagan, president then, and Andropov in the Soviet Union. So I think probably, there would have been a much bigger war. I think, for example, obviously you're in Ukraine, with the invasion that began in 2022, there was a lot of talk then, certainly in sort of British newspapers, about whether, if the West mishandled it, could it escalate into a nuclear war or this kind of thing. I think it's perfectly possible to imagine a scenario in which, without the threat of like massive mutually assured destruction, in which that war became a bigger war. It's equally possible to imagine a world in which, again, if you take nuclear weapons away, maybe Putin is more adventurous in the Baltic states or something. I mean, it's a sort of paradox that our destructive power has inhibited us. And probably you could argue that nuclear weapons, as dreadful as they are, have ended up saving a lot of lives. That given how destructive the Second World War was, the Third World War, and as a conventional war in Europe, would have killed millions upon millions of people in the 1960s. But nuclear weapons meant that it didn't happen. The weird thing is we're kind of insulated from not in Ukraine, obviously, but we outside Ukraine are insulated from the horrors of war in a way that previous generations weren't. But we know that if it does go wrong, it'll go wrong in a more catastrophic way than ever before in human history.